Hey there, Solo here, and it finally happened, y'all. I finally solo flawlessed the dungeon. Not Prophecy, Pit of Heresy. So if you've been a part of the channel, if you've been watching, some of my videos, if you've been tuning in some of the streams, you know that I have this love-hate relationship. It's not even really a love relationship. It's like a hate relationship with the Pit of Heresy dungeon. I've been trying to solo flawless it forever, and it's actually taken longer than I even imagined it would take. I believe it actually took me longer than it took for me to solo flawless the Shattered Throne, and I used to hate that dungeon, but it finally happened. I somehow, in going through different YouTube videos and combining a little bit of elements here, a little bit of elements there, and a little bit from everywhere, I was finally able to solo flawless it. So today I thought it would be nice to just go over some of like the highlights and the clips of how I did it. Yeah, the plan, and it's crazy because I always had this thought that I would either do it on stream or I'd record it and break it down into different sections and say, oh yeah, this is how I did, this is what you want to do. But it's actually, now that I think about it, it's actually not difficult as I was making it out to be. So if you're still trying to solo flawless it, my goal is that hopefully with this video you'd be able to look at it and say, hey, maybe you learned something new, or maybe you try something you haven't tried before. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Let's get right into it. All right, so before we go ahead and get started, as always, you gotta show the proof. You don't want to say, oh yeah, I did something, and it turns out that you didn't do it. So there it is right there: career, destination, Pit of Heresy, flawless solo runs 1. What a sight. We'll try it. I'll have to go through exactly what I did, including the one area that I may or may not have done legitly. I am just going to just get to the high points, get to the highlight points, and just make sure that everyone understands and sees kind of like the strategy of what I did, what I've done, and try to present some new information there, so that it's not the same strategy over and over and over again. So before we go ahead and get started, let's just take a look at my loadout. If you haven't done so already, I mean, here's the thing: Hive armaments, Hive barrier are going to be the top-notch perks that you'd want to get. My thing is, I mean, Hive barrier is supposed to protect you from Hive for 10 seconds. It reduces the amount of damage that the Hive deal to you. I personally have not seen a massive number of of damage resistance from the Hive because of this from this mod, but if it makes you feel good, if it gives you that sense of relief that okay, I'm being protected, I say, hey, you go ahead and go for it. On the gloves, as you can see, we have double enhanced grenade launcher loader. This is definitely going to be important, especially for the boss fight at the end, when we will be using Wither Horde and also Wendigo. So those are going to be very important at the end, but going up to and leading up to that, Wither Horde is going to be pretty important itself, and yeah, and then your special weapon, you can do an auto rifle, you can do whichever one's there. I mean, if you want to do recluse, you could do recluse, but for the sake of trying to do something new, I didn't want to go towards the secondary that everybody uses. And then here I have another world. As you can see, I have this equipped, and this is because the original loadout, I did not have an exotic, so I felt like I'll just use this one then. But yeah, so that is the loadout. That it's kind of particular to this encounter. There's going to be some changes in other parts, but ideally this is going to be the loadout that you're going to use. So one of the different things that I do, so we have R, Star, and Burger. So what I personally like to do is, instead of just going ahead and getting the sword and just, you know, going for it, I actually like to do this. I like to clear out some of the bridges because, you know, especially with there being the big ogres here, I found that a lot of times the big ogre is very distracting. It's very distracting, and it is actually a hindrance to me. It was a hindrance to me getting what I needed to get done. So rather than fight with it, I just decided, you know what I'm gonna do? Let's just take them all out at the beginning. And from what I've noticed is, even when I take out the ogres, they don't respond. They're the only ones that do not respond. So if you're like going through and you take out the ogre on the bridge, and then, you know, according to this strategy that I have, you take out the ogre on the bridge and then you go back and then start your, you know, your whole things with the swords. Once you go back to the bridge, the ogre will not be there, and that is actually very helpful. From what I remember, some of the ads do still come back, even if you were to like kill them and then you come like across the bridge again. Like, I've noticed some of them like to come back, but it's okay, because I'd rather deal with several acolytes than 2 ogres and then 1 big sword guy. I personally would like to deal with that. Or I personally would like to deal with some acolytes instead of this little buddy over here, but ×2, because you would have one on this side and then you'd have one on the other side. So in here, we like to do this. Then we have a solar. That. And there you go. And this I like to do because, especially as you see, once we get the swords, we like to take out like these little big enemy parts. Well, they're not exactly like big enemies, they're just like kind of annoyances. But we like to get rid of them so that once we do get our sword, that's when I call it the solo sword strat. Which, you know, I feel like there's other people out there that have that similar idea for the sword strat. It's like, oh, just use 1 sword. This makes it a lot easier. I feel like in the amount of time that it takes for you to clear it out, then get the sword, and then go through everything, it takes just about the same amount of time just to get the sword and like rush through everything and try to get everything. I've not tested the time in between both options, so to that I say ignorance is bliss. I'm not going to test it out because I want to believe that my way of thinking and my way is right. In doing this, the only room that actually gave me like some actual like, oh my gosh, this is really difficult, is the wizard room, because once they like drown you out, if you will, like they do their little force field and they're covering you, it's kind of hard to move, and then you have the main wizard, you know, shooting things at you, and then you have 2 other wizards shooting things at you. There's just so much being shot at you, and you're just like, oh, I can't see, I don't want this, I did not sign up for this, and then you die. And then you get mad because then you have to start all over from scratch, and you have to do that really long intro of just dropping, and you don't understand why Bungie wanted to do that to you. And then we go bonk, and it's dead. Alright, so that's the first one, using this like pre-done strategy of mine. One more. There we go. Here, show him who's the boss. Down. you go. And you just have this final part here where you go to like the little glowing light. You know, I just like to situate myself in here, kill that boss there, or that revenant knight. He's gonna be the last thing that you need to do, and then you just gotta hang on until the door opens, which should be right now. But yeah, eventually these will go away, and then there you go. I mean, and with that strategy, the strategy that I use of killing all the ads before I go through and kill the final 3 little boss things, or the 3 mini bosses, if you will, that part so much easier than just going through and getting a sword and trying to get you know, get through it as fast as possible. And that's actually one of the things that I've learned about doing this solo flawless run, and just the whole solo flawless aspiration. So what I like to do here, so there's going to be 3 different rooms. I'm going to show you the pattern that I use to get from room 1 to room 2 to room 3. And it's very seamless. It's very they're all connected. They're definitely all connected. There's really only one part that you honestly have to quote unquote wait for the bosses for a bit, but otherwise it's pretty, it makes sense. If you hide well enough, he's going to turn around, and then he likes to do this whole, well, let me stop, I'm gonna stop and check, but once he passes that, you're gonna go here, go ahead, drop on down in there, and then right here, first spot with all the little thralls. So we came from this tunnel, we're immediately going to bank over here, and then you just want to stay to the right all the time. And then as a safety measure, we're gonna do another one over there. And so in here, you can kind of monitor where the big ogre is. So he's over there. We're actually not gonna go out right now. We're gonna back up so that he doesn't register everything. Do that, because the thing is, those thrall, let them gang up on you, they will kill you. And if you have like a run that you're doing and you die to the thrall, it does not feel good. So once he passes by, you then go ahead and just run through. The room that you're going to want to get into is this one. I'm just going to destroy the door, and then you go in and you slam. So this is the one where it'll probably take some time, because in all my runs, this ogre just takes forever to move, and I don't understand why it takes him forever to move. Sometimes I like try to like bait him to like, hey, do you want to slam, do you want to do something? He is his own independent ogre, and he will move when he's gosh darn ready to. Maybe that'll do something. We just need for him to go to the left. Ooh, and which he did. So we'll go here, and then that next room that you saw on the left side, that's the next one that we're gonna get to. But easy enough, that one's right there. Pull out your wither horde. You should be able, even if he does shoot you, you should be able to dodge very easily. And of course, want to get him out the way. Sometimes I wish I had better aim. So I just, for this one, it's that same ogre that just does not like to move. I like to wait till he's moving to the left, and then we just make a beeline for the other side. So right now he's backing up, and then there. So if he was to start shooting, you can easily dodge it. There you go. Okay, and then we're on well. So I'm going to not do this the legit way. So to hide my shame, we're just gonna get through this very, very quickly. And then after you have deployed whichever method that you feel comfortable using to get past this encounter, Then we just go ahead and move on through here. And this part actually, well, this was one of the parts that I realized it's going to be a little bit easier for some classes than it is for others. So, you know, it's really just depending on whose ever jump you're more comfortable with. Because I tried to do this on a Titan, and you know, one of the things was like the jump. I had to really get used to the jump, and this part took like a lot. It took me a long time to get past the jump. So I'd say whichever jump that you're comfortable with, getting past this part, I would say, and then especially in this next part, I would say that should be the character that you solo flawless this whole thing on. So at this part, you see that there is helmet, star, check mark. What I like to do, there's a lot of maps out there that you know, some like individual creator designed maps of the Haro, which actually is, I mean, I wouldn't say like pretty easy to look at, but it does give a good it does give like really good direction of where each symbol is. So I would encourage for that part, for this part, just look up the Haro Pit of Heresy map and you'll be able to find it. And this is why I say just be on a class that you feel comfortable with, because you have to be like, especially with the jumps and, you know, the little corridors, being on a Titan doing this part was like, it was going to ruin me if I like, because especially like jumping on the cliffs and, you know, getting to stay on the cliffs, that was the worst part for me on a different class. So not gonna lie, I was scared. I was scared, but in that I did learn the Titan jump very well. Fluff and crap. And go to this final one here. Oh, and make sure you reload. There you go. And that should be that. But because we just really want to stick it to them, you just go ahead and get that last kill out of the way, and then you just make your way to the end. You know, as a warlock, I'm pretty sure if you are like me, where you would think, oh, I'm a warlock. Warlocks are supposed to use the well to, you know, get things done. No, it's surprise, surprise. It's actually not the well that we're going to be using. We are going to use bottom tree void lock. And then we're going to make sure we have our enhanced grenade launcher loaders. Everything else here is good to go. I don't know which, you know, actual like solo flawless attempt went perfectly for anyone. But mine was completely botched. It was a 4 damage run. Yeah, because I actually kept missing my Nova Bomb. Surprise, surprise. So for this one, we're really going to be, you know, using what we learned from, especially like the first encounter. You want to make sure you get rid of many ads as possible. I like to save the orb dumping until the end, only because, you know, that's me. I like, you know, making sure everything is clear, safe, and in control before I go all out and, you know, try to rush the damage phase. At the end of the day, if you're going for a solo flawless run, don't rush. And I know I've said it before, and, you know, other videos and other streams, I believe, but that's honestly really the key. There's no need to rush when you're trying to do a solo flawless run. Just, you know, take as much time as you need to get the job done. Proceed there with caution. And then There, yep, we hit him. Perfect. We're gonna do that. And then we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna do that. So the goal here is to hit him with the Nova Bomb, and then you're gonna want to keep hitting him with Wither Horde shots. So for this part right here, as these other enemies are coming, sometimes I like to use the blinding grenades, you know, use a couple of these on him as well. If you have the catalyst for Wither Horde, it auto loads for a while, so I like to, you know, switch it around a bit, then switch back to the Wither Horde, because he should be there. And then I don't really know how many seconds of that you can actually like take, but I don't like chancing it. The order really doesn't matter. I honestly like getting the wizard done first, and then moving to basically get rid of the projectiles first, and then afterwards you know, go for the regular knight, because with him, you know, he's a knight. But I do feel like for this one we have to make sure that we hit every Wither Horde shot, every piece of everything that we put on him, we need to hit. I'm going to try to make sure that my aim is you know, on point. No promises though. What a disguise. There we go. Swallow this. Oh yeah, this is it. And you do that. And there you go. Make sure to avoid all those last minute thralls and whatnot. And then usually you'd collect your rewards, but since we did it already this week, we don't get anything. But either way, we're okay with that. Well, that's all that I have for you all today, and there was my strategy in how I solo flawless the Pit of Heresy dungeon. Let me know in the comments below if you're still trying to solo flawless the dungeon, or if you finished Pit of Heresy solo flawless and maybe working on prophecy. You know, as I say, sharing is caring. But yeah, if you did like the video, please go ahead and give a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to see more content like this, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Thank you guys again so much, and I will see you in the next one. Solo says, so long.